So last Sunday we had a chili cook-off and a dessert auction.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go home with any desserts?
We got the cookies, Addison's cookies, I believe. Yes. Oh, the no-bake ones. We got the no-bake ones. Yeah.
Nice. All I know is I paid $120 for a thing of cinnamon rolls.
I saw that, yeah.
It's for the kids. A man may go to war for many reasons: conquest, pride, power, but a woman is simply at war. I'm Josh, your host, and I have with me my co-host, Jered.
What's up? That was mine too.
Oh. Well, I had the other one.
Oh, you have another one?
I have another one. Reclaim our family's legacy and become Shogun.
Yeah, that's good. I could have done that.
That was in there too. That was
yeah. That first one though, it's whatever one sticks out the most to me is the one I pick.
Yeah, I'll have to like next time I'll be like, okay, that one stuck out the most. That'll be my backup option.
Yeah, it's just we were talking about this last week. It's just there's always at least one that really and actually, every episode of Shogun.
Mariko like normally has it too. A lot of times it's her line.
Honestly though, nothing tops the first episode. One.
What was
the
it? 3 Hearts. Oh yeah, 3 Hearts. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Anyway,
Rodriguez.
As you can tell, we are still discussing Shogun. Today we're going to cover episode 6. But before we get into that too much, first we have a little bit of feedback. We got a comment on one of our YouTube videos. Gabby Ocampo, hopefully I didn't butcher that, asks, why do you all have the same last names? Are you siblings?
Maybe.
So an astute observer would notice that, yes, a lot of times, even when there's 4 of us on here, we all have the same last name.
Yep.
So I'll just say in that mix is one spouse, 2 siblings, and 1 kid. You figure out the rest and how that works.
Yeah. You figure out which one's which. Maybe Claudia's the kid.
Yeah. Anyway, but yes, we're all related in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But we've had a few guests, and actually, we'll have a few more coming up at least on the movie podcast part. But yeah. Anyway, so before we get to Shogun, what have you been watching? You watching anything else?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Yeah, cool. By the way, I guess we look somewhat alike, but I guess not enough to where people are like,
not sure
maybe or maybe not, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I had someone tell me that Lucas just looks just like me, like yesterday.
He does, yeah.
So
I said very specifically when Claudia and I were doing Neo and Trinity for Halloween, and I asked you to send me the picture of you guys doing that back in the day, and looking at that picture, I said that looks
version of me.
I said it looks like Lucas, and Aaron looks like Addie in that picture.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. You wanna go first?
Sure. Yeah.
A little back and forth. What do you want to do?
Oh, you want to switch off?
Because then the chapter code doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
We all jump around to each person's list. That's why I like keeping it. So you go as usual. You go first.
Okay. Well, let me know if this is one that you already did. I only have 3 things.
I only have 3 things as well.
Okay. I'll start with the one that you probably watched also. Okay. 3 Body Problem.
I did not.
You haven't yet? Okay.
I haven't started that.
I haven't watched too much of it yet. I watched the first 2. Yes, the first 2 episodes. This is on Netflix, and
I'm definitely interested in checking it out. I just.
Oh yeah, I've been very excited about it because it's a very interesting book. I have not read, but just heard a lot about. And again, like we always mention, sci-fi from our dad.
Yes.
And I was just talking to him again about right before I came here.
Did he check it out?
He actually, he watched 5 episodes already.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So And he likes it. Yeah, he was. The problem is, I was like asking him like, how's it compare to the book? And again, he says the same thing when I asked him about doing it. He's like, I don't remember. I was like, Dad, come on.
You don't remember anything?
No, it was a while ago. He did say, because he read all three, because it's a trilogy that this author did, which is awesome. Which means I hope they can do them all.
The first season a book one, or do you know it's even?
That's what I was asking Dad about, and he says
like,
he doesn't
I don't
know.
remember.
Yep. Because I was like, how's it in? I was like, I mean, you don't need to tell me exactly, because you always got to be careful with Dad with spoilers too, because sometimes he'll just
he doesn't have the context of understanding
sometimes
of the idea of a spoiler.
It's
funny. It's like not in his brain or something.
I remember one time, or I know it's definitely happened more than once. I've been talking to him like, hey, did you check this out? And he'll be like, and I'll say like, yeah, I haven't checked it out yet. Like I'll say that, and then he'll be like, yeah, I watched all of it. And he's like, it's weird how it ends with blah 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 blah.
So and so dying, and you're like,
I'm
come
like,
on.
I just said I have not watched it yet, but yeah, he just Anyway, yeah, this show, yeah, I was excited for it. I wanted to start with, actually, it was 2 years ago. I think there was a TV show, a Chinese version of a TV show that they did for this. I think it was by Tencent, which is weird because that company I thought was mainly a video game company, but I guess they produced some TV shows. So they did. So that was first, and I actually watched almost all of it. That was way longer. That was like 30 episodes, but it was live action. And it was really good. Besides, again, having to read subtitles all the time, but we've been doing that anyway with Shogun, or at least a lot of subtitles.
Yes.
But yeah, so I watched that 2 years ago because I have not read the book at all, but I was excited for that because that was because I think Dad read it like maybe 4 years ago, the book, and that was when he was originally telling me about it and how like it's very unique because after all these years, because this book isn't that old that this is based on. I think it was maybe 15 years old, and it's very, very unique premise, which is awesome for sci-fi, because a lot of sci-fi stuff nowadays is like,
you're like, oh, I've seen it. I mean, or it's a different version of it, and you're like, and it's well done, but I've seen this before. Yeah,
no, this is very unique, and so I watched that first, but then I was like, it would be interesting to see, once we heard about Benioff and Weiss doing this, I was excited because the good thing is we know they're good at adapting book to television.
They have a track record of one, so I don't know if I say we know, but like, yes.
Yeah, but they did it for 5-6 seasons, and then they did a lot of the books. I think I don't remember how many. Well, no, I guess they did all of them because then they didn't have it. Yeah, they ran out of it, and that was the problem. So yeah,
true. Okay, all right, that's fair.
Yeah, so I guess they would have done all of them then. Yeah. So this one, I would really, if anyone knows, there you go. There's another reason to write in or leave a comment or something. If you know how much of this first season, is it the whole first book or not? Because I'm not going to really know. Even when I finish it, I don't think I'm really going to know how much it covers. But the good thing is there's at least a whole trilogy. So I hope Netflix doesn't cancel it like they do a lot of stuff, because it's always an issue. I don't think they will with them because they're a big enough deal. I don't think they're going to.
I think they signed a larger deal for more than just one season of television with Benioff and Weiss.
Okay. So they're like contractually obligated to do at least like a few
other
seasons.
Work with them beyond just this. So, but I mean, I guess it is possible if like it completely bombs and they don't want to do it, then they're not going to do it. But.
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked to see like what everyone else's feelings on it are, but I think it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely need to check it out then.
It's definitely it's not quite as. It seems like it's well, because it's only 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. It seems like they kind of have to skip over some stuff because I don't know how much you know of the story. It's very, very, very dense in general, and there's a lot of stuff that even goes over my head that's like has to do with physics and a lot of scientific terminology that they use. That's like, but it plays a big part into the story, which is awesome, and I love it, especially when they're talking about that kind of thing in the show. But it's just, there's a lot to it. My specific note I had for this, is because of it, the story being so dense. But I think what they do with this version of it, since it's only 8 episodes, so they kind of have to speed it along, but they do a really good job at explaining it to you, even the very complex stuff that goes into this story, to you on a level where you can kind of wrap your head around it. Because even the Chinese version of this, when I was watching that version, I was like, what? Like they go very, very deep into it. And I think that's very true of the book as well, gotcha, from what I've heard. So this, I think they do a little bit better job of getting you to understand, like, because it's a very big concept. And I don't know. Do you know anything about it at all?
I know nothing.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
And I'm okay with that.
I'm not going to explain. Yeah.
Because I'll just go into it blind.
Yeah. No, but it has to do with like scientists, at least. That's all I'll say. That's how it starts. But the only thing I want to say about the show is we got 2 Game of Thrones actors in it. 2, I think. Yeah, which is cool. That carried over from that.
Yeah.
And then the other person, I was like, wow, she's actually popping up a lot more now, and I'm very happy about it because she's also very attractive, is Isa Gonzalez. She's actually one of the main actresses in this.
It's so funny. When we did the movie,
I know.
Baby Driver.
Yep.
I was like, she really hasn't been in any much. And then she was just in the Mr. and Mrs. Smith series.
Yep.
There's the opening. And we were like, why is she not in this whole series? Mm-hmm. And then she's in this.
She's in this. Cool. She's one of the main characters, so she's in a lot of it. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to watch it.
There you go. Yeah. She was in. I did watch another movie of hers.
Oh, yeah, you talked about that. Yeah.
It was not a good movie. It was like a really crappy like action movie. I think it was a Michael Bay movie, which makes sense. He does really like trashy action movies.
Yes.
That they're just fun to look at, but there's not really any substance to them.
Yes.
Yeah, she was in something like that. I think. It was Six Underground. Did you ever watch that movie?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I did watch that.
Okay, she's in that.
With
That's
Ryan Reynolds, right? Yeah. That was.
I think that was Michael Bay, right?
It might be.
It seems like a Michael Bay.
It has that feel. If it's not.
Anyway, yeah, she's in that too. I watched it recently because I was like, oh, she's in. Okay.
Yeah, we watched that when it
first came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad she's doing a lot more now. So yeah.
Yeah, 'cause she's great in Baby Driver.
Yeah, for sure. So that's that. Yeah, I won't say anything else about the show, so you can go in blind. It is it's just an awesome concept. Very unique.
All
right. All right. This next one was the one I was going to talk about last week. This is very obscure, but I wanted to mention it. All right. So it's called The Orchestra. This is a show that I'm not sure if it's Dutch or Scandinavian,
okay,
something like that. Sorry, I was trying to figure it out when I was watching it because it seems like it's Dutch, but this is through Studio Canal, which is you can get through either Apple or Amazon, like a channel, kind of through it's like one of those British channels. I think that's Studio Canal is, yeah. But anyway, I don't even know how I came across this show, but then I checked it out. I was like, this is really funny. And again, though, it's all subtitles, so I guess we're just doing a lot more of that now.
And it conveys the humor? Conveys?
Yeah, I think so. And also, it's my kind of thing because it's just about an orchestra and just drama with this orchestra.
This is like a workplace comedy, but it's an orchestra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. And it's very, the humor, which again, I think that it does a good job because obviously, you can't get the whole context because you're reading the subtitles. But you can tell it's very dry and witty humor, which is great. And the one specific thing,
Sounds like a perfect thing for Americans to rip off and redo in English.
Honestly, they should.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but what's interesting is it came out last year. It's pretty new, and then I just saw it because I was like, I have no idea if this show's if like anyone watches it, but I saw there's a second season coming out sometime this year, which is cool. So, but we'll see. Yeah, American version would be awesome. So I said witty, dry humor. Definitely dark humor too is in there too, which is great. The one thing I wanted to point out is the main character in this is really good. He kind of just like, I don't know how to explain it. He gets angry really easily, and it's just funny the situations he gets himself into. So one of my favorite things, just because maybe I just thought it was funny, because he's teaching. So on the side, he does private lessons.
Yeah.
And it's his one. This student is like, and he's kind of just like, he's just kind of not. He's just really out of it. He's also on like a lot of drugs because he's just like, I think he's just sick of his situation that he's in with the orchestra. Oh, yeah. Because there's another guy that like gets all the glory apparently in this orchestra right now, and he wants to be in that spot. So anyway, but this one student he teaches, she's like. She like thinks he's like one of the best players ever, and so she like always loves doing these lessons with him one-on-one. Let me make sure I get this right. The actual situation. So their interaction when like they're in the middle of the lesson. So he's just like completely disassociated every time that she talks to him. Like he's just like, all right, play that again, or, you know, whatever. And then he'll say her name, and it's a completely different name than what her name is. And then she'll correct him every time. He just ignores it and then says the other name again. Anyway, it's hard to explain, but it's very good how it's executed. Right. But yeah, so check it out. And I know it's kind of weird, not like something easy to stream, but I just randomly stumbled upon it. I don't even know how I did. I think sometimes I like to go on IMDb, and like it's nice when they show you like related shows when you're looking up stuff, and that might have been how I found it. I want to say
interesting, but
yeah, because it's not like there's not like anyone in it that's like I know, but
right.
They're actually it's good though. So anyway, I had to talk about that at some point. No one's gonna probably even know what this show is, but I like the concept of it. So. All right, and then I finally am not caught up on Curb, but
start watching the new final season.
So I did the whole rewatch. So I don't know if you're going to bring it up. Have you gotten any further with your rewatch?
I've watched some. I don't know. Remember where I'm at now. Season 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, probably not looking much better yet as far as the visuals.
No, maybe a teeny bit.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'll just say that the final season, now that I'm finally on it, it's still great. So
nice.
We'll see how the show ends. It'll be interesting.
Cool. Well, I checked out X-Men 97. Watched the first episode of that.
How is it?
I mean, it's good for what it's supposed to be, but also I'm like, oh yeah, this is a child cartoon. Like, you know, like I haven't watched the old ones since I was probably a kid, and
you should go back and do that. Since I just did that, you should see and then see how it compares.
I know I should watch some of that, but I just jumped in and watched the new one of the first new episode of the new one, and I was like, okay. But then I'm like, but also okay, but this is a kid's cartoon, and
oh yeah,
it's like if it's obvious it is.
Does it feel like what you remembered though? Does it still have that same feeling of like the original?
So. I think so. From best I can remember, yeah, it definitely was getting all the nostalgia feels, and I mean, obviously the theme song alone.
Did they do the whole? Because I have not checked it out yet. Did they do the whole? So obviously it's the same song. Did they do the whole intro the same way? Even
I mean, it's the same style. It's like adjusted because they have some different characters in this one versus that weren't, at least as far as I remember, not being in the old one.
Oh, really?
So it's like, yeah.
Okay.
So there's the what's in the animation of the intro. The style's the same. There's some differences because there's some characters in there. They're different.
I wonder how they do that. Like, do that animation to make it look like it's how it was, like that style. Would it be a lot harder to like recreate that style now?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you do that and like use modern techniques,
right?
And still make it look like that, which is probably what they'd want to do, because otherwise it would be really hard and a lot more work.
Right, because at that time that would have still been all like
probably hand drawn,
yeah.
and then scanned and digitized after.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah,
and there's no way they're doing that now because that would take too long. So they're probably right, because it's way faster now. Ways you could do it, and then they would have to manipulate it in a way to. I don't know.
I mean, just faster, but also budget wise, like.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Cost of doing it, probably the way most stuff's done now. But I don't know.
I know you probably don't remember like all the voice actors, but I did hear it is not all of them, but I heard there's a decent amount of the original voice actors, which is cool that are doing it.
Yeah, it's hard because in between there's like been so many movies with other people playing those same characters, and so those are the voices more in my head of like what Cyclops or Storm should sound like.
Okay.
And so like it's hard to remember what the cartoon sounded like. But, then I want to just mention I'm almost finished The Gentleman on Netflix.
Oh.
And if you haven't watched that, it's very good.
It is good.
Did you finish it?
No. Oh. No, there's too much to watch.
Well, but this is good. It is
good. I really liked it. Yeah.
Like I think I only have one more. I think I know I've watched up through 7. I think there's only 8 episodes, so I only have one more episode. But it's held up and solid all the way through there.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's good stuff.
You think it's going to keep going? You think they're going to do
season 2?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still. When I went to watch the most recent or the last episode 7, I think I watched it last night or 2 nights ago, whenever it was. It's still in the top 10. It's still listed as a top 10 on Netflix.
Nice.
So if a series has been in top 10 that long, I mean, it's been out now for a couple weeks.
I don't like the top 10 of Netflix because it's nice to see what's in the top 10, but it also bothers me because I feel like it changes too much.
Well, because that's how, I
know that's how it works, but it's
the binge model happens. Right. Like things drop and people binge through it and it goes up there, but then the next thing comes out and everybody's, and so it's like very,
that's true.
It's a very, quick shot to the top but then a quick fall too.
By the way, I forgot to mention, that's one thing I do not like about releasing 3 Body Problem all at once. Because of how dense that show is. Like, it should have been weekly. Yeah. For sure.
It's not, I wouldn't be surprised if it would have been beneficial to be that way.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, watched the first 3 episodes of Palm Royale.
All right. I have not watched this yet.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in this. It looks cool.
So it's pretty good. Like it's entertaining, worth watching. I wouldn't
cool time period too.
Wouldn't say it's it's not a 9,
right? Yeah,
like maybe like a 7.5 as far as like the rating of the show and the dialogue.
But they got
that,
they got a lot of good actors.
Yeah. So I was gonna say like the talent and the acting in it, phenomenal.
Yeah.
The sets and the art style direction and the costumes and all that stuff, phenomenal.
Okay, good.
All that stuff is so good.
That's always my next question. When it's a time period, I'm like, how does it look for that time period?
So for that kind of stuff, cool. That's, I would say, is like a 9. But just like story and plot and kind of like that stuff is where it's probably more like a 7 or 8, somewhere around there.
Well, I'm never worried with Apple. You got the Apple budget. They can do all that, all the visuals well.
But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. Okay. The only thing I would say is, kind of the tone of it.
That's what I was wondering about. Yeah,
tone of it. Well, I said no, I don't mind the tone, but I was going to say is like the tone of it would kind of is what you would think would lend itself to more like a 30 or 40 minute episode. But each episode is like hovers around an hour, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, I thought it was a half an hour show.
No, and that's I was going to I was assuming that just from like the little bit of teaser and trailer. I was like,
is
this
it
feels
not
like
a straight up comedy?
no.
Okay. See, I thought it was that too. I thought it was just a comedy.
It's actually more drama with
just some
like
humor.
with a little bit of comedy in it.
Okay.
Like more subtle than you think too. But it's good. It's good. It's just
All right, man. I love that Apple just keeps putting out a bunch of stuff, but it's hard to keep up.
Yeah,
It really is.
It's like what you said. Like, so I haven't watched Three Body Problems.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't even got the chance to check out Manhunt, which I'd like to.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah. See, that's the problem.
But then there's another one that'll be out in next week.
I know. I'm like, I always got to pick and choose because I was really excited about Palm Royale too, and I just hadn't watched that. But yeah, it seems like I wouldn't say every week, but I feel like probably 2 times a month there's a new show.
Yeah.
It seems like every other week they're putting out a new like pretty big show.
Yeah.
On Apple.
I would say it's probably almost one a week.
Really?
Yeah, because
crazy.
Because they definitely have stuff that comes out on Fridays and they have stuff that comes out on Wednesdays.
That's right. Yeah, it's
so like
Tuesday and Friday.
But then I think
Wednesday,
they probably the alternating, like what you were saying, every other week is probably the bigger, more well promoted stuff that's got more.
Yeah.
And then there's like the other ancillary, like the Reluctant Traveler, things like that like kind of
that's right. I'm not
that are
thinking
kind
about
of
that,
in between that are just not, they're like other type of content, or like there's like some of the kid shows and like animated stuff they have on there.
Right.
So I think some
Forget
of that
they can do all that too.
So if you count all that, it's probably one a week, but like they stagger that stuff, and so that twice a month is the more prestige.
Were you the
TV
one that I'm pretty sure you were the one that was telling me like who they got talent wise like to be in charge of it? Wasn't it someone that was with like HBO or AMC? Was it AMC?
So the original got
I remember it was someone good,
2-person team that was they were running TV production at Sony Studios.
Okay.
That were creating all the content for AMC, like Breaking Bad, Mad Men,
the golden age of AMC.
Like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys is who they hired to run their original content TV division when they were like, hey, we want to start making stuff, years before the stuff started even coming out. Those are the 2 guys they hired to run. So those are the guys that are kind of in charge of it.
Are they still there?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
Then a few years ago, about the time HBO got sold, and then they started calling it HBO Max and not just HBO, because they're merging with all the other companies they merged with. About the same time as then they had too many, I guess, CEOs or whatever. So the guy that was in head of HBO proper kind of, I guess, got squeezed out of that situation when things were merged. And then, so when he left, he started his own production company. And then right off the bat, after he started his own production company, he signed a multi-year deal for first looks for Apple. So if they're developing a show at his production company, they basically get the first take at like, hey, we want that on our. So then that's where some of their content's coming from. So
okay, so they get first pick if they want.
Yeah, and then if they pass on it, then they can shop it around to other people. Right. But yeah, from that guy's production company. But
I mean, we've been saying on this pod that Apple is one of the best now.
Yeah, and honestly,
especially for sci-fi, we mentioned that specifically.
But I think what you'll see here in the coming years, and I think they will be the new HBO. I think they're already close there, but I think what you're going to see is the HBO is going to continue to trail off as not have as many originals, because it's only been a couple of years that some of those people have been gone. That because now even then when they got bought up by Discovery just a year or so ago, then they got rid of even more of the people that were like kind of helming those things, and so now you've got people that are making Discovery Channel content like Fixer Upper and whatever those shows that's like the home improvement shows. Those people making decisions.
Yep.
And so I think you're just gonna you're gonna start seeing some of that stuff. Not just they're not gonna have those HBO like kind of things like a Game of Thrones or a Succession or shows like that. Just like like end up being like the 10 9 10s on a rating scale and become like part of the conversation all over culture. And
and I just saw that one of their biggest shows ever that they have that they were saying was going to come back, Euphoria, in 2025 is now just delayed indefinitely.
Oh, I didn't see. I saw it got delayed, but I didn't see it was
basically
delayed
I think that's the article I read. That's what they said, because, and this is what I was talking about. I was like, because you have all those actors, I guess they just probably can't figure out a time.
Big, yeah.
Right? They can't figure out a time to
the budget, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, which sucks because so they're not going to have that now. I mean, at least they have but it's like they used almost all their like Sunday night shows were pretty good, and now it's like I don't know. I mean, obviously, when House of the Dragon comes back, that's pretty soon. I mean, that'll be good, but like
theoretically, but even that, the showrunner changed from season 1 to 2.
Really?
Yeah,
from the first season to the second. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
I mean, it still could be good. I don't know, and I hope it is. But
yeah,
yeah. All right, let's get into Shogun episode 6, Ladies of the Willow World. Lady, I forget how you say this. Lady Akiba.
I don't know how they pronounce that one.
And then
we don't have her on her.
No, we don't have her on our cheat sheet. So that wouldn't help because I have it written here too. So Lady Akiba, however you say it, returns to Osaka in order to accelerate the regent's campaign against Toranaga. In Ahiro, Toranaga tests Mariko's loyalty to his cause. So what's your overall thoughts on this episode?
I'm just looking to see how to pronounce this name because of
Akiba or Akiba. Well, I think
this is
that's not helping.
No.
So obviously it was another good episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Would say if I had to rank them, I would say this is not quite as strong as the last few.
No, but it's
still really good.
It's still like
it's still better than most.
Yeah,
by a long shot. But I just want to be like, hey, I feel like from episode 1 to 5, it was kind of like, dude, that's good. That was, if not as good, if not better than one before it. If not, and then I hit this one, and I'm like, okay. This maybe was a little dip from the last two, like just a little. And I mean, don't crucify me. I still thought it was really good. I just wanted to be like, hey, they can't keep going up.
Yeah.
And so it had to level off at some point.
I guess if we say like the momentum has been going this whole time, this was like not quite as much. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, it's that. Yeah.
It's the mid. I mean, like
Yeah, and there's not quite as much that happens in this one that hasn't pretty much every episode before this. Yeah, it's still, I mean, one of the best shows
seen in a long time. Yes.
So and we got 4 more. 4 more.
All right, so we get into spoilers. So we open up on the flashback 22 years ago. So it was funny, we were talking about this last week.
Yeah, I'm glad we started with this so we could.
So
exactly what we were thinking.
Where we left off last week was that she's retelling it of like where her family issue or family backstory, but we never got to see it. And I was like, it's kind of surprising they didn't do a flashback, but they just held on her face and showed her emotion. Well, now we get the flashback.
Yep.
So, we also get to see her father,
Mm-hmm.
and to see Mariko deliver or create a friendship and bond with Ruri. Ruri, I don't know how you said it like back then, because then her name changes.
Yes. Yeah.
But and then they it's kind of funny because they're bonding over some of the shared trauma of of watching people beheaded and whatnot.
There was a lot of that going on. Yep, for sure.
So what do you think of the flashback stuff? Like, what stood out to you?
I mean, all of it was good. I was just happy that we are getting it like visualized, because I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. Just her like retelling it, and like you said, just showing it on her face, and that's it. Like, that's why I thought that's all they were going to do with it. So I'm just happy we got it. And as soon as the episode started, I was like, all right, I knew exactly. He said 22 years ago. I was like, oh, sweet, we're getting this right away. So yeah, I thought it was great. And then we get, well, I'm sure you'll get there with it. Like, we go back to that later in the episode. Then we kind of get like another part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple times where
Oh, was it a couple? I feel like there was it was like the very beginning, and then like quite a bit later, then it goes back to it. Maybe it does a couple times.
Yeah. No, I'm trying. So then, I mean, 22 years ago is when they were like kind of little, and then it jumps to whatever random other time, because then it's like
it's actually her,
same
as the
actress.
Yeah.
But what they say is like, but then she's fighting with those like long spears with they have a name for them, long spears with a little like blade on the end. But
oh man, yeah, I know.
Blade. But and of course we saw her use one in like episode 3 or 4, whatever it was. But
I wish I could remember the name of this.
Yeah, but just seeing her train with it and kind of you could tell she was good.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. That was cool.
Definitely.
And then she finds out that her father has it set up for her to marry Bintaro. What do you think of that? She was like, that was interesting. Even then, she thought it was like kind of like a, not a good idea. Like she was like, I should be being used to make a good alliance, and his family's not.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, that's like we talk about with these things with like how women are treated in this time. It's like, that's historically accurate. Like, that's how they were, like, even though she would have been way better at like, because of her skills, like we already saw, even with like just her fighting skills, even like she would be better used elsewhere, but because she's a woman, it's like, nope, you need to be married. And then, so that's just, and obviously her dad decides that. Also, I have a point, which I can't remember. I'll just mention it now because I can't remember when it was specifically said in the episode, but and it might have been later, but speaking of just like, imagine being a woman in this time period and your father wishing you were a boy. Because he says that about like...
That's a little later.
Was that a little later? Okay.
Because it's Toranaga.
Toranaga says it. That's right. Yeah.
Like in present day.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, and I mean, I understand the culture. It's like, you want someone that could be like an heir or like take over, but like, it's just, that's got to be pretty brutal to be like, nah, I wish you were a boy.
I took that a little differently.
Did you?
It's interesting. Well, I mean, yes, still, but I think I kind of thought he was implying a little bit of like just how, how her personality and intelligence and like perception and the things that kind of the way she approaches things, like that it was like he was hoping she was wish she was a boy because she had all the skills and abilities that kind of would fit better as like a leader, and
that is true.
And that yet she, in that culture, she wouldn't be able to do those things. It's like, so I kind of took it more that way than like, I was like, oh, I wish you were a boy. So that have a
right. And that's what I'm saying from the beginning, like with her dad, like she should have been like a leader instead of just marrying Buntaro. Yeah. And she would have been if she was a man. So it's like, So yeah, that's just the way it is there.
Speaking of which, so then after the wedding, then we do go back to the present for the show, not our present, present time for the show.
Yeah,
and then we get basically they're kind of trying to pull themselves together from the landslide and earthquake that they had to deal with at the end of last episode, and then we Toranaga represents Blackthorn, the Cannon Regiment, and makes him a general because of saving his life. Now,
the second
time. Yeah. So,
first time he became Hatamoto, right? And then now he's being promoted again. Yeah,
yep.
It's all. I mean, it's awesome. Like that he just keeps like ranking up in this culture, but like
I feel like he's falling up. He's always falling up. Like I feel like
no, he is. But also it's like, but even besides that, like him basically, doing this by accident or just like not really even trying. Yeah. But then also he
stumbles and falls and he ends up getting in a
right.
That's what it feels like.
It does. But then it's also he still is like he's very respectful and he's learned the culture well. But at the same time he's still just like, I don't really want this and I still want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah. So so he asked for his men or something. No, he comes back later and does that. Like this moment he does.
Yeah, it's a little later, I think. Yeah.
But so then we see Yabashige and Omi complaining about their position and where they're at, and that they lost the Cannon Regiment, and that
I feel like them two are always complaining about something.
Yes. But I also think it was funny is he decides to write another will. The end of that season.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, you're done to start another will.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Oh man.
And I was like, all right. This guy is just, it's funny.
Yeah.
So then we go back and we see Buntaro apologizing for attacking Mariko. And Toranaga basically, it's funny, he tells him like to divorce her. He's like, if she's giving you that much problem, just divorce her.
Yep.
And but then he's like, no, I love her even if she gives me all these problems or something. So then he like,
that's another culture thing though. It's just like, you don't really even need much of a reason. Just like, no, just divorce.
Just get rid of her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what is it that so then he gives him a punishment. What does he give him?
You're talking about Toranaga?
Toranaga gives Buntaro a punishment. Still. Do you
You're right. I don't remember what
it was like 7 days or something confined. I don't know.
It was a week.
A week of
not being like not even seeing Mariko at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was a week. Yep, 7 days. Yeah.
And he did that. So why did he do that? Because of the disruption to the Harimoto's like household or something like that.
I guess.
I think that's what it was.
I mean, he didn't really say. He just ordered him, and and obviously, like, you can't really ever question him. You just gotta be like, all right.
And as that's kind of transpiring, then Blackthorn and Mariko walk up, because then when he's approaching, and of course there's the awkward glances between them.
Yeah.
And then that's when he's approaching and asking. He's like, "Hey, thank you so much for all these things you've been doing to try to, thank me, give me, but really all I just wanted is to get my ship, my men back, and leave the Japans, as he calls it.
The Japans.
The Japans.
It's so hard how he says it. Like, it's very specific, like emphasis on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a little note though. I'm like,
okay.
Where's his men been? like he brings them up all the time.
He does. But he lost a few of them.
Yeah. What are they up to? Like, where are they at even?
I mean,
they might have died in the earthquake. We don't know.
They could have. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think how many he had originally, and then how many died. So
yeah, I don't know. Just
think he has
it's
that
just
many.
this thing that he keeps referring to, but you're like,
you never see him.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since like episode 1, I guess.
Yeah.
Until one of them got boiled alive.
Yeah, that was the only one we saw.
Die.
Another one died though. At least I want to say at least the second one did too.
You know, honestly, like in this I know we were early on we were referring to or comparing to some to Game of Thrones, but it made me thinking about that. It made me think, you know, it'd be kind of interesting to go back and watch episode 1 or 2, like definitely episode 1, knowing these characters a lot more, and like because I feel like when I watched episode 1 the first time, there was like so many characters and names and things, and you're like, what? And I feel like that was the same with Game of Thrones. Like
definitely was.
The first time I watched season 1, even I can't remember where, and then you start to like, and things start to sink in a little bit of who's who and what's going on, and then you go back and watch it, and then you're like, oh, this makes so much more sense now, because those first couple episodes you're still so confused on like where the dynamics are politically, what, you know, who's at war with who's anyway, so I could see that being beneficial in this too, though.
You should, because I think you were mentioning about like you wanting to rewatch Game of Thrones, which obviously that's a huge undertaking because there's so many episodes, but you should at least, because I guess you never rewatched it, have you? You've only watched it through once. Oh, you did rewatch it?
I've watched,
but it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched any of it, but
okay,
I've rewatched it at some level. Definitely season. I feel like the earlier seasons I rewatched at least once, because I can't remember when we started watching it. It wasn't at season 1.
Yeah, no,
it was like season 3 or 4. I don't know, somewhere.
That was
around
there. When I watched it initially.
And then, so when I watched it initially, watched it all the way, but then like there was a gap of time, and then I think then at that time we rewatched the seasons leading up to it.
Okay,
or at least most of it. I know at the tail end we stopped watching everything again, so I've probably seen it all at least twice.
Okay,
except for the final season. But then what we would do is there would be easy to find online, like here's the important episodes to watch, and we kind of like do that and watch like a few handful of the episodes to like refresher and kind of just get back in that world, you know. So that was what I would do. But
well, I would say like at least you should go and even just the first episode, and that's it for now. Like watch the very first Game of Thrones episode again, because even the way, like the very first scene of that show, the way it starts, because I haven't watched it again in a while, but I remember it pretty clearly still. Like how it opens is so interesting, and like not how you would expect it to open.
Okay.
And also just the introduction to, because you don't get introduced to everyone even in the first episode, but it is
the first episodes are all pretty much at the
it's mainly just the Starks. Yeah,
the Starks. They're at their castle or whatever. And, anyway,
but yeah, it's
not a Game
cool.
of Thrones podcast.
But we'll talk about it because I mean there is a lot of comparisons. People have been comparing Shogun to it a lot. Yeah.
So once Toranaga kind of says no, you're not getting your ship and men back, then kind of dismisses them, but then asks Mariko to stay back. And this is when he kind of challenges her and tells her about like what her father's intentions were for her. And that's when, like you were talking about, where he's like, well, you know, your father did always wish you were a boy or something, like, you know.
Yeah.
And that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also let her know that, you know, the reason he married you off to Bentaro was to save you, because he knew what was coming for the rest of the family.
But she didn't want that. She wanted to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he up to that point she's been wanting to die because she wanted to die with them to honor them. But like, if she knows living is actually honoring him, because that's why he did that. So like, I'm wondering, I mean, we didn't have much time to let her sit with that, because then we moved on to other things. And so I'm wondering if we'll see in the next episode her starting to, you know, struggle, or like kind of, I guess, think that through and like kind of maybe shift her thought process around that, and then maybe Bentara will divorce her at some point, and then we can have her happy ever ending with her and Blackthorn, sailing away to back to England, because their whole like
then they can have their date,
the virtual the fake date in their heads, by the little hot tub. Anyway, so then we go to where the council of regents are, and we see that Ishidu burned all the pigeon coops.
Yeah.
And is locking everything down and basically holding the rest of the council hostage until they appoint a fifth person so that they can get rid of Tornaga. Impeach him, which I guess means also kill him.
Yeah,
they always talk about impeaching, but then it's like,
I know,
this basically means then he's dead.
Yeah.
Or at least trying to kill him. And then after this, we see this is like the scene with where they're having the play is being acted out, like the historical play, like they're telling a story of history, right? And that's where we get the other flashback, because then it's more for the other lady,
yes,
that we don't know how to say her name, Achiba or Akiba or whatever. She's like remembering kind of her, like when they kind of split ways, like, Mariko got married, and then she kind of, got brought into the Lord's house, and eventually, like, bore him a son. And because his wife couldn't do it. So we kind of that one, I guess, is what I was thinking. Like, it kind of cuts back and forth a few times, right? Like it fades. So like, because it shows some of it, and then it fades into, and you see her face as in the flashback, and it's like on the face of the actor wearing a mask, and then it's the kind of like, but then they show back to it. I think it comes back and forth.
Yeah, they do it a few times closer to the end of the episode. Yeah.
But this so I didn't quite pick up on it, but they were saying like this is why she doesn't like Toranaga. Did you figure out why she doesn't like Toranaga?
No, she didn't say, because I was wondering that too. And when someone specifically asks her,
right,
I'm like, great, now we're gonna finally know why. And she basically doesn't answer the question and just I think just leaves or something, or dismisses that person or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think we're supposed to know yet.
Gotcha. Then we go back, and then we see Toranaga's group, and they're kind of talking about, because in what's his name from his like right hand man, he's on our page, right?
Toranaga's right hand man?
Yeah, no, he's not on this. Oh yeah, he is. Hiramatsu.
Oh yeah.
He comes back because he fled the town, and comes back and kind of tells them that what's happening, and with that Ishidu's doing. And so then they're like, we must do our secret plan, Crimson Sky. Which, what the heck is Crimson Sky?
I don't know.
So funny, this like secret plan.
Yeah. So that's what they call it in that scene?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember them. I feel like they say it later, but I don't remember them just saying it out of nowhere with no explanation. But I guess so.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, other than just like, we're just gonna storm them. Yeah, do our secret plan, Crimson Sky.
Oh, that's the plan, right? Storming with their forces, and okay.
It doesn't seem like much of a plan to me.
No.
Or very much of a secret.
No, but I mean, I'm sure Toranaga's he knows what he's doing.
He's always like 5 steps ahead of everyone else.
He is, and so it sounds very simple, but I'm sure he has a lot more strategy to go into it.
Yeah. I hope so. But then we get I think in there was like there was a scene of Mariko like negotiating with the tea house owner, like the price, because then she was going to be in there too, so yeah, she had to pay extra for her enjoyment. But anyway, but then the meat of that is later, kind of now, and we get them visiting the tea house.
So right before this, it would have been right before this, right before they go to the tea house. Toranaga talking to Mariko, and I just really like, because they've said this in other episodes too, and I just haven't wrote it down yet, but he's talking about like her going with Blackthorn to the tea house, and his line was, in case he talks, like while he's they use the word pillow for sex, which I think is great. That's funny. Like they use it in a few other episodes too. They said
they've been using it,
for when he pillows, or I don't know how he pronounced.
I'm gonna start using that in my life.
Yeah, I know. I thought
we need to make T-shirts.
Yeah,
I like the pillow.
Yeah, exactly. And then he says, so like, it's just funny also that he's saying, like, implying like, in case he says something in the middle of it,
right, you
need to be there,
like
even in that instance, which is just funny to think about.
Yeah, you're right. He definitely was like, no, you need to be there.
Yeah.
And so then that's what she has to negotiate for, and it costs more because she's got to be there. So then they go to the brothel or the tea house, and and
they only be called a brothel. It's like way more upscale. That's why it's a tea house.
Well, so I was like reading a little bit about on the website, and they were talking about this was actually what eventually became the geisha stuff.
Okay.
But that didn't exist in this time period,
right?
But these like upscale tea houses, where it was not just about sex, it was also about they
explain it, yeah.
As we saw in this episode, like there was a lot more to it, and of course we never even actually saw it.
Nope.
What happened completely, but you could see like he felt like it was an experience that he enjoyed.
Yeah.
And realized, and it was on his face afterwards. He almost felt like in Saul, like he experienced something he never experienced before, and whatever that was, right?
Yeah.
I do think they did a fantastic job building the scene and the sexual tension.
Oh yeah,
in the situation without actually having any sex or nudity, and just the words and her talking, and then showing him glancing at Mariko.
Yep.
And like just that whole like situation. It was really, really well done. Like good, well written, well acted, and choreographed and shot and stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's like, again, very similar to the dinner scene previously of like just so well crafted, and time took to make sure that all that was just right. And
just like a guy we were talking about, there's at least one specific line in every episode that is just like really, really good and thought provoking. I feel like every episode there is one scene like you're talking about. Like last week's was that scene when they do like their
the dinner
drink, and they're like
all that, talking,
all that.
Well, and then one of the early ones,
I'm trying to think.
The one where he first draws the map for Toranaga.
Yes, that's for sure.
That was another scene where
so good.
It felt like that. You're right. Like it's just they
always have one of those in every episode,
or at least most of them. Yeah, but there's like this strong like just this dialogue interaction that again also all those that we've listed, they're adding another whole layer of tension and storytelling just by the translation stuff that they throw in the mix of there. And it's so well thought out, planned, crafted, done. Yeah.
I think I mentioned this last week, and I still haven't looked up. I need to look up who's involved with this because I'd like to know, since they said they're not going to do any more, and this was just it of the book. I need to know. Like, I hope they do something else.
Yeah.
Or at least this crew.
What did they do before this?
Right.
Like, especially the main writers and showrunner. Like,
for sure.
people just to see like what did they work on before this, and
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, it's homework for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean we just kind of come back to the Toranaga and the troops, and they really were like, okay, we're gonna need to attack Osaka, and gets them all ranting and excited to go.
I like his little like war cry he does, or whatever you would want to call it, because he does
Grunts.
at the beginning.
It's kind of like a grunt in there too.
Yeah.
So, what do you think we're gonna see next episode?
I don't know. I need to stop saying like we're gonna see a battle, because we were not. But like,
I think the battle's coming next episode.
see, well, that's what it seems like. But like, I thought that
This is episode 7. It's episode, so like,
yeah.
Which I mean, I don't think it's like the penultimate like that kind of thing, but I think it's.
You say start
I think this
of
is going
Act
to be
3?
the start of. Right, this is the start of the end of which I think will kick off with a big battle. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win, because it actually might be the battle that then like, they have to reset, and then I don't know how this is ending, but I assume it's like more of a happy ending, so to speak. Like Toranaga ends up kind of reclaiming the area for the appropriate, and then reclaiming the realm, and getting things set up for the actual heir to take over the little boy. And then Blackthorn gets his ship and his men back, and maybe Mariko leaves with them on the ship and to go visit other countries.
I think somewhere now, whether it actually is Mariko or not, I don't know, but I saw somewhere that the character he's based on, like he did marry a Japanese woman. I don't know, like in real life, the character that John Blackthorne's based on. Yeah. So I don't know if that's how this is going to end or not, but because it seems very, I don't know, what's involved with the book, how much it is historically accurate, but it seems like,
I mean, a lot of stuff is based on real people and real events, and just maybe changing things around a little bit, but.
And it's cool now that I'm playing another game that's based around this time. Just started on.
Yeah. Well, that was something I was going to say.
It's a little after.
Well, interesting. Well, no. What was the animated show on Netflix?
Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Blue-Eyed Samurai. Because that, like I was thinking that like the tea houses and the brothels or whatever because there was all that stuff with the tea, and then in this they had the technique of her pouring the tea, and I was just thought it was interesting, but also like so not just. I mean, that, yes, is interesting and like kind of reminded me. And if you didn't see Blue-Eyed Samurai, it's very good as well.
Yeah, I still need to watch it.
But I always find it fascinating that in pop culture, art, like it's like for some reason this is bubbling up, right? Like right now as like, and it's like because you have that Blue-Eyed Samurai that was last fall or something.
Yeah, last year.
So like that was probably years in development, and then this has been years in development. So
yeah, this has been in development a long time.
So like where it's like this is just things I think about, like where there had to be something that triggered people, and then you have these video games coming out that were like inspired to be like I'm really liking the Japanese culture, and I think we really need to make some content around Japanese culture, like make something good. And it's like where like somewhere that got all stirred up about the same time, and then and then these like years later, I mean you see it in sometimes movies too, like it'll be like the same like couple movies like that are around the same theme, and you're like, but one studio made one studio the other, and you're like, these movies take years to make, like no one's like, oh that's a good idea, let me do that. Like it's they kind of come naturally, and then it's kind of, it's just interesting.
Sometimes it's even the same story, and it's two different movies, different actors, obviously, right? But it's the same story that they're like.
So this happened, but the interesting thing, like even happens on the science side. Like I remember, either a Radio Lab or one of those like educational podcasts like that, and they were talking about that same phenomenon where there was different things that were invented in history, like science kind of invention things that and they kind of covered that topic of where these things were like happening, and it was like, oh, this idea was like 3 different places at the same time in the world. And in history, when nowadays we're all connected, it's a lot easier, but like back then there wasn't. And
Yeah.
so just to see that like mankind was having the same ideas at the same times that we're not connected, yet arriving to the same ideas and inventions roughly at the same time. And that kind of, and so I just think it's the same thing. I think in like what inspires people to create art versus science, right? I think there's those things that are the impetus of that to like spur somebody to be like, hey, let's make something about Japanese culture and history. And then all of a sudden we've got 3, 4, 5 years later, we get this content like it's all like hitting at the same time. So I just find that interesting. And I don't know. I have nothing to prove. No proof of this. This is all just.
I don't know. The only theory I could think of is, maybe partially because anime in general is very much more. I don't know. I should say accessible, but more mainstream. Like a lot more people that would never really even check out that stuff. So more of that kind of Japanese influence, whether it be actually historic or just that type of show or feel, I think that maybe that has something to do with it, because it seems like more now than ever, a lot more people, myself included. I mean, I watched some anime when I was young, but
same.
But like, I feel like I've check out a lot more of it now than I ever would.
But like I said,
before.
It's a lot easier and more accessible to get to do that. Cool.
I think it's also, honestly, now I'm thinking about it, I think it's a shift too, in where a lot of stuff from the West now, story-wise, I think is written a lot better than a lot of this American story stuff we're getting that lately I feel like hasn't been as good. And I feel like it's been a lot stronger. And I actually even felt this way in video games, since we were just talking about that. Not just the games, like the way they play, but the stories in them. Like I would say the past 4 games I've played have all been, and I just realized this, like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, none of these are American studios. These are all, and I believe they're all Japanese or Chinese studios.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and this is some of the best games I've played, story and the way they feel, gameplay, all that. Which is interesting that, I don't know.
Yeah.
There seems to be a shift in that with media lately. I don't know why, but I've just been noticing that lately.
I think, it's a fair assessment. I mean, I think, there's, I don't want to say fad, isn't that maybe the word, but it shifts in like where the interesting ideas come from and things, and and then we all get burnt out on those kind of stories, and then
I'll go back,
go back to something else, and
that's true.
Then that'll feel fresh, but yeah.
And I to be clear, I'm not saying everything from America sucks right now, because we talk about that.
America sucks, dude.
Yeah, there's still good stuff. It's just, I don't know. Lately, I've been just liking a lot of stuff from story-wise that is more Western culture. So,
or is that Eastern?
Eastern, West. Oh, you're right. Sorry, I'm mixing that. My bad.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah.
Eastern. We are Western.
Yes. Yes.
My bad.
Cool. Any other closing thoughts on this episode? And all right, cool. What about you guys? What did you think of this episode? What you still like? What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Write us in, feedback@screentimepod.com, or leave a comment on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want to follow any of us on Instagram, I'm @JYoungbar.
And I'm @Jered Youngbar.
And we'll talk to you guys next week.